You know, there comes a time in life when you start noticing little changes, small shifts in how you interact with the world and the people around you. Maybe you found yourself turning down invitations more often, or perhaps you've noticed that social gatherings just don't feel the same way they used to. And if you've ever wondered, why am I avoiding people more as I get older? Well, you're not alone. The truth is, this isn't just about getting set in your ways or being stubborn. There's real psychology behind why many of us start pulling back from social interactions as we age. And today we're going to explore 5 surprising psychological reasons behind this shift. Some of them might even shock you. But before we dive in, let me ask you this. Have you ever come home from a family gathering or a lunch with friends and felt completely drained? Not just tired, but emotionally exhausted. Maybe you even thought, I love them, but I just don't have the energy for this anymore. If that sounds familiar, stick around, because what we're about to discuss will make so much sense to you. Now, let's start with the first reason, that your brain is wired differently now, and this one might explain a lot. As we age, our brains undergo natural changes, not just in memory or focus, but in how we process social interactions. Research shows that older adults often prefer smaller, more meaningful conversations over large, noisy gatherings. It's not that you don't enjoy people, it's that your brain now craves quality over quantity. Think about it. When you were younger, you might have loved big parties or catching up with dozens of friends. But now, a deep one-on-one chat with a close friend over coffee feels far more satisfying. That's because your brain has shifted toward connections that feel fulfilling rather than just filling time. And here's the fascinating part. This isn't a bad thing. It's your mind's way of prioritizing what truly matters. So if you've been saying no to crowded events, but yes to quiet, meaningful moments, congratulations. Your brain is simply helping you focus on what brings you joy. Reason number 2, you've earned the right to be selective. Let's talk about another big reason, one that's deeply tied to wisdom and experience. After decades of relationships, some uplifting, some draining, you've learned something important. Not every interaction is worth your energy. When you were younger, you might have tolerated gossip, negativity, or people who only reached out when they needed something. But now, you've likely reached a point where you think, life's too short for this. And guess what? That's a sign of emotional intelligence, not rudeness. Psychologists call this socio-emotional selectivity theory. Basically, as we sense that our time is more precious, we instinctively focus on relationships that bring us happiness and let go of those that don't. So if you've been quietly stepping back from certain people, it's not avoidance, it's self-respect. And here's the best part. This natural filtering system leads to deeper, more rewarding connections. The friends who stay in your life, they're the ones who truly matter. Now, before we move on to the next point, I want you to think about this. Have you ever felt guilty for saying no to social events? If so, I hope this helps you see that it's not about shutting people out, it's about making room for what genuinely enriches your life. Speaking of enrichment, let's discuss the third reason. Your social battery runs out faster. Remember when you could spend all day with people and still feel energized? Yeah, those days might be behind you, and there's a scientific reason for that. As we age, our energy reserves, both physical and emotional, simply don't recharge as quickly. Social interactions, especially ones that involve small talk or managing other people's emotions, can feel exhausting. It's not that you don't care. It's that your mind and body are prioritizing rest and restoration. Think of it like a phone battery. When it's brand new, it charges fast and lasts all day. But after years of use, it takes longer to recharge and drains more quickly. That's not a flaw. It's just the natural cycle of things. So if you've been needing more downtime between social events, don't beat yourself up. It's not avoidance. It's self-care. And honoring that need is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. There are 2 more surprising factors we'll explore next, including one that might make you rethink the idea of loneliness altogether. Before we proceed, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. When we're young, we often measure our worth by how many people we know. how many friends we have, how many invitations we get. But as the years go by, something shifts. It's not that we stop valuing connection, far from it. It's just that we start to understand deep in our bones that not every relationship is meant to last. And that brings us to our next reason. You're no longer afraid of solitude. There's a common misconception that avoiding people means you're lonely. But here's the truth. Many older adults pull back because they've discovered the joy of their own company. After decades of meeting other people's expectations, raising families, building careers, keeping up with social obligations, you've finally reached a stage where solitude isn't scary. It's peaceful. Think about it. When was the last time you sat quietly with a book, a hobby, or just your own thoughts and actually enjoyed it? That's not isolation. That's contentment. Psychologists have found that as we age, we become more comfortable with solitude because we've learned who we are. We don't need constant chatter or validation to feel whole. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean you don't love your friends or family. It just means you no longer rely on them to fill a void. And that's a beautiful thing, because when you're at ease with yourself, the time you do spend with others becomes richer, more intentional. So if you've been turning down invitations just to savor a quiet evening at home, don't let anyone make you feel guilty. You're not withdrawing, you're choosing. And that's a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Let's talk about the fifth reason, which is that you've outgrown superficial connections. Over the years, you've likely had friendships that felt effortless initially, only to realize later that they were built on shallow ground. Maybe it was the neighbor you only talked to about the weather, or the old coworker whose conversations never went deeper than office gossip. Here's the thing. As we get older, our tolerance for surface-level interactions drops dramatically. You start craving substance, real conversations about life, memories, even fears and regrets. And if those around you aren't willing to go there, it's natural to drift apart. This isn't about being picky or antisocial. It's about recognizing that time is precious, and you'd rather spend it with people who get you, who aren't afraid of silence, who don't shy away from the big questions. And here's the twist. Sometimes, the people you once thought were lifelong friends fade away, while someone you least expect, a quiet relative, an old acquaintance, steps forward and becomes a kindred spirit. Life has a funny way of balancing things out when we let it. Now, before we move on to the final piece of this conversation, I want you to think about something. Have you ever reconnected with someone from your past and realized you have more to talk about now than you ever did before? That's not a coincidence. It's proof that the connections meant for us find their way back when the time is right. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please take a moment to do so and like our content. You've probably heard the phrase, with age comes wisdom. But here's what they don't always tell you. Wisdom isn't just about what you learn. It's also about what you let go. And that's exactly what we're going to explore as we wrap up our conversation about why we start avoiding people as we get older. Because the truth is, this isn't about closing doors. It's about opening the right ones. Let's talk about something that doesn't get said enough. Sometimes stepping back from others isn't avoidance. It's self-preservation. After decades of navigating relationships, you've likely learned which ones leave you feeling uplifted and which ones leave you drained. And at this stage of life, you're finally giving yourself permission to choose peace over obligation. Think about it. How many times have you forced yourself to attend an event out of guilt, only to come home feeling exhausted, or tolerated a toxic relative because that's just how they are? As we age, we start to realize we don't have to do that anymore. Psychologists call this emotional regulation, the ability to prioritize your mental well-being by setting boundaries. And here's the beautiful part. When you protect your peace, you're not being selfish. You're creating space for the relationships that truly nourish you. So if you've been quietly distancing yourself from drama or negativity, give yourself credit. That's not avoidance, that's growth. Here's the most liberating reason of all. You've earned the right to design your social life on your own terms. Society often paints aging as a time of loss, loss of connections, loss of vibrancy. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if this is the first time in your life you're truly free to connect, or not connect exactly as you please? Maybe that means seeing friends once a month instead of every week. Maybe it means letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. Or maybe it means discovering unexpected joy in solitude. Whatever it looks like for you, this isn't withdrawal, it's reinvention. And here's the thing. The people who matter will understand. The ones who don't, well, that tells you everything you need to know. Before we go, I want to leave you with this. The beauty of getting older isn't about having fewer people in your life. It's about having the right ones. It's about quality over quantity, depth over breadth, and peace over pretense. So the next time someone asks why you're staying home more, just smile and say, I'm not staying home. I'm right where I want to be. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these reasons resonated most with your experience? Have you found unexpected freedom in setting social boundaries as you've aged? Share your stories in the comments. Your wisdom might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more conversations like this. Remember, every year is a gift, and how you spend your time and energy is yours to choose. Here's to living life on your terms, surrounded by the people and the peace that truly matter.